But the Cowboys 7-0 at home. They've got a 15-game winning streak at home, and the Lions as an indoor team and the Cowboys as an indoor team also very good. Like it's two teams that excel in this setting. The edge to me though is the Cowboys, simply because it's just home versus road. Like I know that may sound basic, but the Cowboys at home, and I actually really love what Chris said, and I'm buying into it. Having all of those legends there to put Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor, that is going to be something that Dallas Cowboys players are looking at, and you don't want to throw up all over yourself in front of all these Hall of Famers.
Yeah, I hope they score a bunch of points, man, because I don't know what to do here, because Dallas at home, I mean, it's like Goff on the road, which usually is an auto fade for me if he's going against a good pass rush, and you have Dallas, who's number one right now in pass rush win rate. The only thing that does concern me a little bit is Dallas against the run, and right now, Gibbs and David Montgomery are both top 8 in EPA. Like, both of those guys, and Gibbs is just getting going. We talked about it last night. My favorite bet, over 17.5, longest rush. And then I also gave out Gibbs over 46.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to get the majority of the touches. I mean, they're still going to feed Montgomery. I like those guys. And then obviously I feel like everybody's going to talk about Sam Laporta, and I do think that's a really good bet. I like the receiving yards over 46.5. Dallas, 31st, defending that position, defending the middle of the field, and slot receivers. So that's the other concern for Dallas in this game, and the reason I haven't got to the window on them yet is just right now, slot corner has been a liability for them, and then the middle of the field. So I do like the over. I played it at 50.5, and I think we're going to get some points in this game. You know, the Cowboys, even though they're getting that solid pass rush, struggling against the run. And we talked about it. That Jonathan Hankins injury has been a big injury since Week 9. They're getting gashed on the ground. They're struggling against the middle of the field, like we said. They're playing a ton of man coverage. The problem with that is Jordan Lewis. He's been a liability as their slot corner. He's grading out 135th out of 136 qualifying corners. So I also like the St. Brown props because he's lining up in the slot on 50% of his routes that he's running. So probably a big St. Brown game, a big Laporta game, a big Gibbs game if you like props. And I like the over. And as I say that, it just hit 52. So like the over. And I'm staying away from the side because everything tells me Dallas back at home, good get-right spot. But I don't know, man, because if the Lions are going to have all these guys kind of doing whatever they want on the field against that defense, maybe they could hang within the number. I don't know if they win it outright because Dallas hasn't lost at home in forever. But 5.5 is kind of a big number. But just give me the over 52 and all those props.
I still don't know how to read the Cowboys at this point either. You know what I mean? Like, you really just get a different team week by week. I kind of thought we had not passed that, but improved on that issue that they have. And it's just really not the case.
I wanted to see them, I wanted to see more consistency, right? Because, I wanted to see them win the NFC East for all the futures. But, man, 1 week, at home they look like a Super Bowl contender. On the road, they do not. Also, though, like the Miami game, I think that might say a little bit more about where Miami's at. And I know Hard Knocks is on. And I hate when people are like, I watch Hard Knocks and I see, Mike McDaniels is a good coach. Like, go in every locker room. He's not doing, like, anything different than every other coach. It's just not on HBO. Oh, I'm falling in love with this team, and he's the best coach ever because I get to watch him for an hour on HBO of edited footage. Like, no. All these guys are smart. Most of these guys are smart, other than the idiot that's in Atlanta, and a couple others. The defensive coordinator in Green Bay. Yeah, but Yeah. There's still a lot we could get to on this game, but I do love the over, man. And I don't know, but I just think that game said a little bit more about Miami. They needed that signature win, and also Dallas had some bad luck. They fumbled at the 1-yard line in that game. They were actually really good down to down. I think they were like number 1 in total, down to down success rate by Pro Football Focus. They just couldn't cash in. So maybe they bounce back, or maybe the Lions finally win a signature game.
One thing to keep in mind with this, Jared Goff, the third most turnovers under pressure this season. He's got 10 of those. The Cowboys defense leads the NFL in pressure percentage, almost 37%. So they're going to get after Jared Goff. But we talk about this a lot. A lot of quarterbacks just not good under pressure.
Be absolute, but not in the world of sports. And the best example is in baseball, the World Series champion Texas Rangers. That was a hard team to watch the last month of the season. And all they did was go undefeated in the playoffs on the road. No team in baseball history had gone 15-0 undefeated on the road, on their way, stomping out the Houston Astros that owned them, stomping them out, beating Arizona in the World Series to win a World Series championship the franchise had never won in 52 years in Texas, 63 years overall coming from D.C. So the whole point I try to make to people is, yeah, you can dismiss the Cowboys all you want, but don't try to climb up on the bandwagon like you did with the Rangers just in time for the Arizona Diamondbacks to lose. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't be a coward.
Yep.
You got to say, okay, it's going to be hard to watch. I got to buckle up, and if this is my team, I got to let them play it out. That doesn't mean that you walk chest first, oh, the Cowboys going to win the whole thing. No, you just have to let it play out. Let me say one other thing about those Rangers again. They had never won it at all in their entire franchise history. The last game of the regular season, they had been in first place most of the year. They lose the last game in Seattle by 1 run, 1-0. It was like people were flipping pencils. They're like, this Rangers team, they might make the playoffs, but they ain't going nowhere. And then lo and behold, stuff happens. So what it means is in the world of sports, if you're healthy, the war of attrition, and if you're hot at the right time, who knows what can happen.
You know what's crazy? They could end up winning that division. As good as the Ravens have been, and the Ravens are a few plays away from being an undefeated team, the Browns are just hanging in there. They're just hanging around there. Now they're a much better team. Their home road splits are weird. You know, you never know what you're going to get. I mean, you go back to that game against Indianapolis even a couple weeks ago, about a month ago now, maybe even more than that, and they were giving up a bunch of explosive plays. But you go back to those first 4 games of the season, and they look like the 1985 Bears. They look like a top 5 defense, and yeah, they've been a little bit of a roller coaster, but only because of injuries this season. And now they're figuring it out, and they're playing their best football here in December, and you got to feel pretty good if you're a Browns fan.
Joe Flacco has been an upgrade from their starting quarterback in Deshaun Watson that they paid more guaranteed money to than anybody else has ever paid anybody in the NFL. Think about that for a second. This guy came off of his front lawn throwing a football with his kids, and the offense in Cleveland is better than the quarterback they paid $250 million to.
I mean, what are they going to do with that contract? That's what I was thinking last night after that game, driving home. I was like, what are they going to do with the Deshaun Watson contract? Not that Joe Flacco is the long-term answer.
Right.
Or maybe not even the answer next year. He's going to be another year older, I know. But like you said, he's been an upgrade over Deshaun Watson. Now, the game that Deshaun got hurt, knocked out for the season, he was so damn good in the second half. Remember, I think he had like one ball hit the ground in the entire second half. But, yeah, I don't know, man. That's why you're kind of playing with house money right now. It looked like a lost season, and Joe Flacco leads you to the promised land, which just like being a Browns fan is just going back to the playoffs. You know, they finally won a playoff game with Baker Mayfield.
They may build a statue for him.
Yeah, everybody got free beer. You remember that? And now, so now I'm starting to cheer for them again. And maybe, who knows, maybe they'll be my AFC side piece team again. I don't know. I got way too many now.
Do have if you've dumped the Jets, that's over.
They're
so
done.
You can have a new side piece team now.
Yeah, I still like the Bengals, especially when Joe Burrow comes back. But that's the way to go. Well,
I do like Bama in this matchup. I look at the expertise that, number one, Nick Saban brings to the table as a prolific coach and one of the best coaches to ever do it. He's done it multiple times in a multitude and a variety of ways. And you kind of look at what this Alabama team has gone through, obviously losing to Texas at week 2. And then ever since that moment, man, they've turned a new corner every single week, and they found a way to win. Even whenever it was close in the Iron Bowl against Auburn, they found a way to win. I don't know how that happened still to this day, but it was a precise pass that will go down in Iron Bowl history as one of the best plays ever if you're an Alabama fan. And then the complete and utter domination of Georgia, who's been the number 1 team for the past 2 seasons and pretty much all throughout this entire year. And Alabama handled it, quite frank. I don't know how Michigan can respond against a team that's surging the way that Alabama is right now. And I think that's where I give Nick Saban and what he does to get his guys prepared whenever he has a month to do so, as well as this Alabama team just being what they have been in college football playoff history, and that's always making their way to the finals at some point in time. So I don't see that changing. I do believe they win against Michigan, but it'll be a hard-fought game. I don't think Alabama just runs away with it, but I do think they're probably the more complete team to be able to take the win whenever it's all said and done.